Dear spectators of the human tragedy, in the quiet corners of my mind, where shadows dance and memories twist like smoke, I find myself reflecting on the kindness I once wore like a cloak. A cloak, yes, but one that became a shroud, suffocating and heavy. I was the fool, the jester in their court of cruelty, handing out compassion as if it were candy, thinking it would sweeten their bitter hearts. But kindness, it seems, was just a joke to them, a punchline, a weakness to exploit. I remember the moments, those fleeting instances when my hand reached out to lift them, to guide them through their darkness. What did it bring me? Nothing but echoes of laughter, sharp and mocking, like shards of glass in my soul. They saw my compassion not as strength, but as an invitation to tread upon my spirit, to belittle my kindness as if it were a mere trifle. They mistook my gentle heart for a fragile mask, one they could tear away to reveal the nothingness they believed lay beneath. But oh, how time whispers sweetly in the ears of those who listen. The very kindness they scorned has birthed a strength they never anticipated. In their blind arrogance, they failed to see that kindness is not a sign of weakness, it is a seed of resilience lying dormant, waiting for the right moment to bloom. And bloom it did, not in vibrant colors, but in shades of darkness, like the deep red of a sunset bleeding into night, foretelling the storm to come. As the days passed, I became the specter of their fears, the ghost of their own making. I stood at the edge of their laughter, watching as it morphed into uncertainty, doubt creeping into their hearts. The shift was palpable, like the air thickening before a tempest. They began to see me not as the charmer who offered them warmth, but as the storm that could engulf them whole. I embraced this transformation, this awakening from the slumber of complacency. The moment I realized that my kindness had been a double-edged sword was the moment I grasped my own power. They thought they had control, that their disdain could crush me, but in their attempts to belittle, they only sharpened the blade. The laughter of others, once a bitter poison, became the fuel for my resurrection. Each mocking word, each derisive glance carved deeper into my resolve. I learned to wear my loneliness like armor, crafting it into a shield against their cruelty. In that solitude, I unearthed a strength that was always there, hidden beneath layers of misplaced trust and foolish hope. It was a strength born not of light, but from the darkness that they had cast me into. Now, as I stand on the precipice of this new reality, I can feel the shift in the air. The world has spun on its axis, and those who once roared with laughter now tremble in my presence. The irony is delicious, a fine vintage served at the table of their own making. They mistook my kindness for weakness, and now they stand before me, ghosts of their own arrogance, haunted by the very shadows they thought they could cast aside. Let this be a lesson, a reminder carved into the fabric of their souls. Kindness is not a weakness, it is a weapon, honed in the fires of betrayal. And I, the architect of my own resurgence, will wield it with unyielding strength. The darkness has become my ally, and in its embrace, I have found my true self. Let them tremble, for the storm is here, and it carries the echoes of their laughter, now transformed into whispers of fear. In the shadows where laughter once echoed, where the light of day failed to penetrate, the faces of betrayal linger like ghosts at a forgotten feast. They gathered, those who once held my kindness in contempt, dismissing my hand as if it were a fly buzzing in their ears. I remember their smirks, their eyes glinting with a condescension that cut deeper than any blade. They thought my compassion was a joke, a punchline to their cruel game. Little did they know, each scoff, each sneer, was an ember feeding the fire of my transformation. Memories fled back, vivid and biting, like winter's chill creeping into my bones. I recall the moments when my generosity was met with disdain, the times I offered a helping hand only to be brushed aside like a nuisance. What a fool, they would say, their laughter ringing out, cruel and sharp. They never understood that beneath my kindness lay a reservoir of strength, waiting to be unleashed. They saw me as a weakling, a plaything to be toyed with, never realizing that every act of kindness was a thread weaving a tapestry of resilience. Their laughter was a cacophony, a symphony of mockery that played at my expense. They thought they were superior, towering over me with their arrogance, but they were merely blindfolded players in a game they did not comprehend. Their laughter, once a soundtrack to my despair, became a harsh reminder of the isolation I felt. I stood amidst them, a solitary figure in a sea of scorn, but it was in that solitude that I began to forge my identity. The weight of their condescension pressed down like a stone, but in that pressure, I discovered diamonds. It fueled a fire in me, a desire to rise from the ashes of their derision. Every dismissive glance, every mocking word became the chiseling of my resolve, a relentless sculptor shaping me into something formidable. They underestimated the power of their own cruelty, believing they could break my spirit when, in fact, they were merely sharpening my resolve. Oh, how I relished their ignorance! They thought they held the reins, controlling the narrative of my existence, while I quietly observed, plotting my course in the shadows. The laughter that once stung became a distant memory, replaced by the sound of their trembling voices as they realized the monster they had awakened. Their dismissal of my kindness only nourished the beast within me, transforming it from a mere whisper to a deafening roar. I stand here now, a testament to the cost of their betrayal. The echoes of their laughter have morphed into whispers of fear, a haunting melody that resonates in the air. They tremble at the very thought of me, realizing too late that kindness, when twisted by betrayal, becomes a weapon more potent than any sword. I am no longer the fool, I am the reckoning they never saw coming. As I gaze into their eyes, I see the flicker of recognition, a realization that they played a dangerous game and lost. They mistook my gentleness for fragility, and now they are confronted with the reality of their error. The shift in dynamics is palpable. Their laughter has turned to silence, their arrogance replaced by an unsettling awareness. Each interaction now carries the weight of their past transgressions, a reminder that kindness is not a weakness to exploit but a force to be reckoned with. Let them remember this. Their laughter was the spark, but it was my resilience that ignited the flame. And as I stand amidst the ashes of their underestimation, I find solace in knowing that their fear is the bitter fruit of their own making. They thought they could break me, but in their attempts to dismiss me, they only forged a strength they now tremble before. This is the cost of kindness, an unyielding strength born from betrayal, a power that will not be ignored. In the depths of solitude, where shadows dance like phantoms on the walls of an empty room, I found a power that lay dormant, waiting for the right moment to awaken. Loneliness is a cruel teacher, stripping away the illusion of companionship and leaving only the raw essence of oneself. It was here, in this desolate expanse, that I began to embrace the silence, to listen to the whispers of my own heart, a heart that had once been tender, but now beat with the rhythm of defiance. Each day, as I walked through the corridors of my mind, I felt the weight of despair pressing down upon me, like a thick fog that obscured the sun. But it was in this suffocating darkness that I discovered my true self. Despair, often viewed as the end, became a catalyst for transformation. The moments when I felt most abandoned, most invisible, were the moments that forged my resilience. I learned to rise from the ashes of my own desolation, to take the fragments of my brokenness and mold them into something unbreakable. Silence, once a void that echoed my pain, transformed into a sanctuary where I could discover strength. In the quietude, I found clarity. In the absence of noise, I unearthed the power of restraint. The world outside continued its chaotic dance, but I stood still, grounding myself in the knowledge that true strength lies not in the roar, but in the calm before it. I learned that the greatest warriors are not those who wield their swords with abandon, but those who know when to hold their tongues and when to strike with precision. As I embraced this newfound solitude, I felt the chains of expectation dissolve. No longer would I be defined by the perceptions of those who laughed at my kindness. Their mockery had been a shackle, but now it lay shattered at my feet. I was no longer the victim of their disdain. Instead, I became the architect of my own fate, crafting a destiny woven with threads of resilience and determination. In this quiet rebellion, I carved my path, a path that led me away from their shadows and into the light of my own strength. Every moment of isolation became a building block, each pang of loneliness a reminder of the power I held within. I was not broken, I was being forged in the furnace of experience. The flames of despair shaped me, tempered my resolve, and ignited a fire that could no longer be extinguished. I learned that vulnerability was not a weakness, but a wellspring of strength, a tool to be wielded with precision when the time was right. The darkness that once threatened to consume me became a canvas for my rebirth. I painted my solitude with the colors of resilience, creating a masterpiece of defiance against those who underestimated me. I transformed my pain into purpose, my despair into determination. The quiet moments of reflection became the anvil upon which my newfound strength was hammered, each strike a reminder that my kindness was not a flaw, but a unique aspect of my power. And as I emerged from this crucible of isolation, I felt the world shift around me. The faint echoes of past laughter faded into silence, replaced by the palpable tension in the air. They no longer saw a fool, but a force to be reckoned with. The transformation was not just mine, it was theirs as well. They were witnesses to the metamorphosis, a chrysalis breaking free from the constraints of their ridicule. Now, as I stand on the precipice of my new identity, I embrace both kindness and strength. They are not opposites, they are two sides of the same coin. I am the embodiment of resilience, a reflection of the darkness that fuels my light. And in this delicate balance, I find my power, a power that of which they are now acutely aware. They may have mistaken my kindness for weakness, but now they tremble before the unyielding strength that has risen from the ashes of their betrayal. In the theater of life, power pirouettes like a dancer in a spotlight, its rhythm elusive, its steps unpredictable. It teases the weak and enchants the arrogant, whispering sweet nothings of control while masking its true nature. For those who wield it without wisdom, it transforms into a double-edged sword, cutting deep and leaving scars unseen. I have seen the faces of power, the masks they wear, and the shadows they cast, shadows that once engulfed me, but now I walk confidently through them, a silhouette of defiance. The cycles of power are relentless, a tide that ebbs and flows with the passage of time. It is a game, a cruel dance with a strong feast on the weak, believing their dominance is eternal. Yet, I learned that every empire built on the backs of others crumbles under the weight of its own arrogance. I was once a pawn in their game, a piece to be sacrificed for their gain. But now I stand as the specter that haunts their every move, a reminder that their throne is built on sand. How naive they were to think they held the upper hand. They believed my kindness was a chink in my armor, a flaw to be exploited. Little did they know, it was the very foundation of my strength, a reservoir of resolve waiting to be tapped. They laughed, their mockery ringing in my ears like a twisted symphony, but the melody was of my own making. I let them play their games, allowing their hubris to fuel the fire within me. Every sneer, every dismissive glance was a brick in the wall of my fortress, a catalyst for the transformation I now embodied. Power without respect is a hollow crown, a facade that crumbles at the slightest challenge. I witnessed the downfall of those who underestimated the quiet strength I had cultivated. Their arrogance blinded them to the truth, that true power does not roar, it whispers. It waits in the shadows, biding its time until the moment is right. And when that moment arrives, it strikes with the precision of a serpent, swift and lethal. As I reflect on those who once held dominion over me, I see their pride now as a heavy anchor, dragging them into the depths of their own making. They mistook my restraint for submission, my silence for surrender. But as the tides turned, they learned the hard way that the price of pride is steep, often paid in the currency of regret. I am the embodiment of that lesson, a living testament to the truth that power can be as fragile as glass, shattering at the slightest touch. In this dance of dominance, I have become both predator and protector of my own essence. I wield my strength not as a weapon of destruction, but as a shield against the chaos that once enveloped me. The irony is that my kindness, once perceived as weakness, now serves as a weapon more potent than any blade. It is a force that disarms, that exposes the vulnerability of those who wield power without wisdom. And so, I stand here, the architect of my own destiny, a beacon of resilience amid the ruins of their arrogance. I have tasted the bitterness of betrayal and the sweetness of rebirth. I am not merely a survivor, I am a conqueror of my own narrative, a master of the shadows that once threatened to engulf me. The world may tremble at the thought of my strength, but it is the echo of their laughter that fuels my resolve. They will remember me not as a fool, but as the storm that reshaped their understanding of power, an unyielding force, rising from the ashes of their underestimation. In this journey, I have learned that power is not merely a possession, it is a state of being. It flows through the veins of those who dare to embrace their darkness and wield it with purpose. The faces of betrayal have become mere specters in my rearview mirror, fading into the distance as I forge ahead, unafraid of the tempest that lies before me. For I am both the kind soul they once dismissed and a relentless force they now fear. And in that duality, I find my truth, my strength, and my unshakable power. In the crucible of betrayal, the air thickens with the weight of regret, a heaviness that clings like fog on a winter's morn. It seeps into the bones of the once mighty, those who once wore their arrogance like a crown, all the while blind to the tempest brewing just beyond their gilded walls. They danced carelessly, spinning tales of their own supremacy, oblivious to the cracks forming beneath their feet. It was in this fractured moment that I found clarity, a revelation that echoed through the corridors of my mind, a siren's call that beckoned me to rise. The moment of realization is a haunting specter, a cruel reminder that the illusion of power can evaporate like mist in the sun. I recall the flicker of fear in their eyes, the subtle shift in their demeanor when they recognized the monster they had awakened. Laughter twisted into silence, mockery morphed into hesitation. They stood before me, once so confident, now reduced to mere shadows of their former selves, trembling in the wake of their misjudgment. The very essence of their arrogance had become the noose tightening around their necks, suffocating them with its grip. Relationships once steeped in condescension began to unravel, threads of connection snapping under the strain of their own hypocrisy. The lines had been drawn, and they were on the wrong side. It was a bitter irony, one that tasted of ashes and regret. I had been the kind-hearted fool, the one who offered a hand to those who only sought to claw their way up from the depths of mediocrity. Now, with every step I took into the light of my own strength, I watched them retreat, recoiling from the very warmth they had sought to extinguish. The sound of trembling became a melody, a symphony composed of their fears. It reverberated through the air, a haunting chorus that played on repeat in the theater of our interactions. With every word they spoke, I could hear the tremor of doubt lacing their voices, a stark contrast to the laughter that once accompanied their mockery. They had not just misjudged my strength, they had awakened a force they could not contain. I was no longer the vessel of kindness they had exploited, I had become the storm that tore through their illusions, leaving chaos in its wake. As they fumbled for the control they once held, I found solace in the chaos I had embraced. Their trembling was a testament to their fear, a fear rooted in the knowledge that they had underestimated the very foundation of my being. I had learned to wield my kindness with precision, transforming it into a blade that cut through the fabric of their arrogance. What they had dismissed as weakness now stood as a fortress, unyielding and resolute. In this dark dance of power and fear, I became the architect of my own justice. The weight of their betrayal hung heavy, a constant reminder of the cost of their underestimation. Yet, in that weight, I discovered a strange liberation. I was no longer bound by the chains of their expectations, I was free, unshackled by the burdens they had sought to impose upon me. Their fear was the currency of my freedom, and I reveled in it. As I stand at the precipice of this revelation, I realize that kindness, once a tool for connection, has morphed into an unforgiving weapon. It is a paradox, a duality that reflects the very nature of existence. In the shadows of their laughter, I found the strength to rise, to become the embodiment of resilience. I am not just the kind soul they once dismissed, I am the tempest that will reshape their understanding of power. And as the echoes of their trembling fill the void, I smile, for I know that I am both the nightmare and the reckoning they never saw coming. In the aftermath of their trembling, I stand alone, surrounded by the ruins of what they once called power. The air is thick with the acrid scent of their arrogance, a stench that lingers like smoke from a dying fire. Here, In this desolate landscape of shattered egos and broken promises, I reflect on the cost of my kindness, a currency they spent without a second thought. Kindness, they thought, was a sign of weakness, a fragile flower easily crushed underfoot. But how naive they were to believe that compassion could not forge the sharpest of blades, a weapon honed in the silence of my solitude. Each act of kindness I extended was a thread woven into the tapestry of my being, a tapestry they sought to unravel with their mockery. I remember the sacrifices I made, the moments I surrendered my own needs to uplift those who only sought to exploit my generosity. They took and took, never realizing that every gift I offered was a seed planted in the barren soil of my heart. And now, as the darkness blooms around me, I gather the fruits of that labor, each bitter berry a lesson learned, each thorn a reminder of the peril of misplaced trust. The transformation of kindness into something fierce and unyielding was gradual, like the slow rise of the tide that eventually claims the shore. They saw only the gentle waves lapping at their feet, unaware of the storm brewing beneath the surface. When I chose to embrace the depths of my despair, I unearthed a resilience that pulsed with life, a power that surged within me like a wildfire consuming the underbrush. It was in this crucible of sorrow that I forged my strength, tempered by the heat of betrayal and the coolness of solitude. What they failed to understand was that kindness, when wielded with intention, can morph into a force that shakes the very foundations of their arrogance. The facade they had built around their superiority crumbled as I revealed the truth hidden beneath layers of my suppressed fury. Their laughter, once a cacophony that echoed through my mind, faded into the background, replaced by the silence of their fear. They had turned my compassion into their playground, but now it became the arena where I would reclaim my power. Reflecting on the sacrifices, I see the faces of those who took advantage of my kindness, their smug grins forever etched in my memory. They believed they could tread upon my goodwill without consequence, but every act of exploitation was a brick added to the wall of their downfall. The weight of their condescension pushed me deeper into the shadows, but from that darkness, I emerged as a figure forged from their own scorn. The lessons learned in quiet moments of reflection became the cornerstone of my identity, a reminder that the heart can be both a sanctuary and a battleground. As I stand among the remnants of their pride, I realize that justice is not a distant ideal, it is the relentless march of time that reveals the truth. The current of my transformation flows steadily, carving new paths through the landscape of their assumptions. They will come to know that kindness, once wielded as a weapon against me, has now become the very sword that will cleave their delusions in twain. I am the architect of this awakening, and with every calculated move, I reclaim the narrative they sought to dictate. In the end, the cost of kindness is steep. It is the price paid in blood, sweat, and tears, a toll that echoes through the chambers of my heart. Yet, I do not mourn those sacrifices, I wear them as armor against the storms of their mockery. From the ashes of their laughter, I rise, a phoenix reborn in the fires of betrayal. As I embrace this duality, I know that I can wield kindness and strength in tandem, a force that will leave them trembling in the shadows of their own making. The lesson is clear: in the dance of power and vulnerability, those who mistake compassion for weakness will ultimately find themselves ensnared in a web of their own deceit. And I will be there, a specter of justice, ready to claim what is rightfully mine. In the dim light of this forsaken world, where shadows stretch like fingers reaching for the fading remnants of respect, I find myself standing on the precipice of reckoning. Justice, I have learned, is not a gentle breeze that whispers through the trees. It is a relentless storm that tears through the facade of complacency, uprooting the very foundations of arrogance. The air is thick with the tension of what is to come, a palpable energy that crackles like electricity, igniting the anticipation of inevitable confrontation. The faces of those who once dismissed me flashed before my eyes. The laughter that once rang like bells of superiority now echoes as a cacophony of dread. They thought they could dance on the ashes of my kindness without consequence, but now, as I rise from the depths of their disdain, they tremble before the embodiment of their folly. I am no longer the kind-hearted soul they foolishly underestimated. I have become a force of nature, a tempest fueled by the very betrayal they inflicted upon me. Their ignorance has sown the seeds of their own downfall, and I am here to reap the harvest. I remember the moments of dismissal, the times my kindness was a mere joke to them, a punchline to their cruel humor. They laughed, their voices dripping with condescension as they waved away my compassion like a bothersome fly. But in their laughter, they sealed their fate, for every chuckle was a note in the symphony of my transformation. With each mockery, I felt the weight of their arrogance pressing down upon me, pushing me deeper into the abyss of my own solitude. It was in that darkness that I found clarity, a clarity that revealed the truth hidden beneath their hollow words. When the moment of realization struck them, it was a sight to behold. The smirks that once adorned their faces twisted into expressions of horror, eyes widening in disbelief as they grasped the magnitude of their miscalculation. I was no longer the lamb they thought they could slaughter. I had become the wolf, sharp of teeth and keen of mind, prowling through the territory they believed to be theirs. The shift in dynamics was palpable, like the sudden quiet that blankets a room before a storm. They had taken my kindness for granted, and now they would learn the cost of such folly. Each interaction now carries a weight, a tension that hangs in the air like a noose, ready to tighten with every word spoken. The sound of their trembling voices, once filled with mockery, is now tinged with fear. They stammer and stumble, searching for footing on ground that has shifted beneath them. I relish in this newfound power, for it is a reminder that the tables have turned, and I am the one who holds the cards now. The echoes of their previous arrogance serve as a reminder of the price they must pay for underestimating the strength that lay dormant within me. The final confrontation looms like a shadow, a reckoning long overdue. In this moment, justice becomes a relentless force, an avalanche of inevitability that cannot be halted. I will face them, and as I do, I will embrace the power that comes with both kindness and strength. For too long, they believed that compassion made me weak, but now they will witness its ferocity. I will wield it like a sword, cutting through the layers of their denial, revealing the raw truth that lies beneath their carefully constructed illusions. In this dance of power, I have learned to embrace my new identity, the anti-hero who walks the line between light and dark. I am the architect of my own fate, the puppet master pulling the strings of destiny. And as I stand ready to confront those who once wronged me, I understand that justice is a powerful teacher, unforgiving and relentless. It is time for them to learn that the kindness they once dismissed has evolved into an unyielding force, a storm that will sweep them away, leaving only the remnants of their arrogance in its wake. The time for reckoning is here, and I will not walk away until justice is served. Unleash your inner strength. Share this message if you believe that even in the darkest moments, resilience can rise from the ashes. Leave a comment about a time you turned your pain into power, and subscribe for more thought-provoking insights that challenge the status quo. Embrace the chaos and let justice be your guide.